songs today. All right, guys, we are back live, bashing the brain, Baschamania episode 368. A little late because somebody had a little birthday hangover. No judgment zone here, but whoa, in my own ear there, had a little feedback there. All right, so we're live. We got a lot to talk about from this weekend. If you guys didn't know, yesterday was Willie's birthday. Again, he's too humbled, so he's not going to tell you himself, but it was his birthday, so wish him a happy birthday if you didn't already. Wish him a happy birthday in the chat. Be friends.
Larry Steele in the building. He's a loyal listener. Yeah, I had a couple beers on Super Bowl Sunday, which also was my birthday. Yeah, it was a rough one. I didn't get too bagged up. It was just a long day of drinking. It's just not like too hard, but just long.
Listen, it's on me. Normally, I always confirm the time the day before, and last night I didn't, and this morning I texted you at 5 a.m. when I was at the gym, and I said, "Hey, 9 a.m. right?" And you texted me at 7 and said tomorrow. I said, I can't tomorrow. And then about 6 hours later, you said, how about 6? I'm like, let's do it.
I still don't understand why the day after the Super Bowl isn't like a voluntary day. Like this should be you should get a
well next year it's going to get interesting. Next year Valentine's Day on Sunday, President's Day on Monday. So next year will actually be a federal holiday on Monday. Most people or a lot of people will have off.
It stretches out so far, the football season, and the playoffs, the college playoffs. The college playoffs lasted forever.
And next year it's even worse.
Is it?
Yeah, we won't dive into the schedule right now, but next year it's like even longer.
We kept the number of teams the same for the college football playoffs, right?
They did, but I think it's elongated. Like the time in between the quarters and the finals is bananas. But this is a wrestling podcast. Let's talk wrestling. Where do you want to start? Because it wasn't the most eventful weekend. You kind of had a big Friday night. Ohio State, Iowa was great. The rest of the weekend kind of fizzled out. Quiet Saturday, Sunday. But you do have some random nuggets that kind of popped up Thursday, Friday, Saturday. There was some drama with Bassett and Brandt Harer. There was Yazdani got teched by Stephen Buchanan. There's questions now about Jax Forrest, Aaron Seidel next week. So we've got a lot to dive into. Where would you like to start? It is your honorary birthday, since it was yesterday. As the birthday boy, where would you like to start?
Let's start with Harer, Bassett. I don't know what day it came out. I did Wyoming Seminary, Del Barton on Friday Night Live, and then Saturday noon or 1 o'clock I did Sem Blair live. I missed the start of the Iowa Ohio State deal, but I went back and watched most of it. But anyway, I get a little fuzzy on when things came out. But anyway, the beginning of the week kind of started, I don't know, maybe it was Tuesday, Wednesday, some anticipation. I think you kind of made a big deal of it. Harer and Bassett and 3-time state champs, and they haven't lost in this many years. And so people started really, you amplified it, and people started getting really into it. There's a lot of interesting nuggets in Pennsylvania this year. One of them, how about here in District 11? In our district, 3 guys go. 3 guys move on, right? I think it's still 3. Actually, it might be more. And then it's only 3 or 4, though. But in our district, at 133 pounds, there are 3 returning state champions in the district tournament.
Yeah, there's so much going on. PA is having just a banner year in the excitement. And that's why, like, Flo actually put it out first. They put out Bo versus Brandt. And with all these, like, super matches and highly anticipated matchups, over the years I've gotten enough relationships that I'll text these kids. I'm like, hey, are you going? hey, and like I text regularly with Bo, and I said, hey, Bo, I said, this matchup, like, is it happening? He's like, absolutely, man. I'm pumped for it. I said, awesome. Let me put a graphic out because Flo was streaming it. So Flo actually put a graphic out like Monday, Tuesday, I think.
Yeah.
And then I tried amplifying it and said, hey, this is going down. It's live on Flo. And both Bo and Brandt reshared Flo's graphic. So then I put another graphic out, kind of amplifying it. And I'm like, this is awesome. So to set the stage, Bo Bassett, 155-0. Brandt Harer is 199 or 202 with a 154 match win streak. So combined, you had a 309 match win streak, and they were going to meet in the PIAA Team Dual State Tournament in the quarterfinals. And Brandt was sharing the content. Like, he was engaging. I can't remember if he shared the one I put out. I think he put the one out that that Flo put out. So it was looking like it was going to happen. And here you have these two studs with incredible careers facing off. And then I could tell, I got the sense that there was some uncertainty about if it was going to happen. And then Brandt's father, who's also the coach at Montgomery, went on PA Power Wrestling and said the match isn't going to happen, which I do give him credit for saying that. Like, he came out and he said the match isn't going to happen. Bo's a world-class athlete, and he's only going to get one crack at Brandt. It'll be in the PA State Finals. So, kind of a disappointment. And, like, I tweeted out and didn't really commentate too much on it. I just said, this is so dumb. And the reason I thought it was dumb is, like, first of all, I appreciate the transparency. But my stance is just, they're two high school kids. Let them wrestle. I think Brandt's clearly the underdog. If I was a coach, number one, I'd say, hey, every opportunity to wrestle and get better, go out there and get it. Brandt wrestling Bo, win or lose, isn't honestly going to change his legacy one way or another. Kid has 200 wins, only 2 losses. He's a 2-time state champ already, a 3-time finalist. Like, his legacy as a PA high school wrestler is already cemented. Bo Bassett's legacy already cemented. So I don't think either really had anything to lose, and I think as the underdog, I'd almost rather wrestle Bo Bassett twice, because even if you lost once or lost twice, doesn't make a difference. But if you do get a win over Bo, like, that's an awesome accomplishment. Bo Bassett is an all-time great. So I was disappointed it didn't happen. Like, I feel like it's high school wrestling. Just let the match happen. I don't think that, like, game planning for one match against Bo is going to do more than, deciding not to wrestle. And then it was funny because I think what happened at the actual duel, Bo then bumped up to see if he could catch him at the weight up. Like, Bo actually ended up going 152, so Montgomery forfeited both 45 and 52.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that most people would anticipate me going off the rails and saying this is bullshit and they should wrestle. But here's where I sit. I don't think the path that they chose was the right one, but and maybe I don't think you do either, and most people in the chat probably don't. But it doesn't matter what we think. It matters what they think the right course of action is. You trained your whole life for this. It's your senior year. You want to win another title. You want to make some sort of wrestling memorable history. Go out as a champion your senior year. You should do what you think is the best path to achieve that. And they think the best path to achieve it is to wrestle once. And I am of the opinion that Brandt would have learned from wrestling Bo a previous time. You have to get acclimated to Bo's pressure, strength, and feel. There's really nobody else that gives you that feel. Not practice partners. Maybe some guys Brandt wrestles with when he goes to Rutgers. But it's a unique feel and a unique style, and I think Brandt would have benefited from that. They don't feel that way. They feel like Wrestling once gives them the best shot to win, and I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I just think it's like they're kids. Let them wrestle. I don't think there's anything that really get worked up about. I agree with you. Like, I think that for a kid like Bo Bassett, if personally, if I'm going to wrestle him or I'm going to have a kid wrestle him, like, the more shots at him, the better. And look at the Bachman match. He ended up wrestling Bachman, I think it was in the finals, and he beat him 3-1. Like, a close match, So it's like, I feel like game planning, I feel like 2 shots against Bo is better than 1, but, it is what it is. Like, it's just high schoolers. It's just, let them wrestle is kind of my deal. I just don't think it's that big of a deal. Again, like, one's committed to Rutgers, one's committed to Virginia Tech. Both have absolutely cemented their legacies. They have nothing to lose, If anything, I think Bo Bassett has more to lose because Bo's the one that has the undefeated career going, whereas if you have 2 losses or 3 or 4, really doesn't make a big difference. You're a legend.
Yeah, it's their prerogative, and we'll see what happens in 3 weeks. But there is a lot of, I said about the state champs at 133 in District 11. There's Bo and Brandt hitting. There's, Joey's going for his 3rd. Melvin's going for his 3rd. There's a lot of kind of legacy matches in PA this year. What else?
All right, so that was the Bo Bassett match, and that not happening. Do you want to? I feel like there's some nuggets around college. Do you want to start with Ohio State, Iowa, and then we'll get into some of the random nuggets, like the Jax Forrest 133 stuff?
Hey, what do you think? And this is one thing I missed, like in real time because I was doing high school duels, but I thought those. So I didn't see the reaction of the fans and like what they thought. I thought that Oklahoma State, those blue singlets were fire. I think
they are
awesome.
fire. They're one of the best sets of singlets going. They had those last year too, if I remember correctly.
Did they? I did not remember that.
I think so. I want to say they had them last year too. They're fire.
I did not remember that, but they were sharp. And if anything, like, I don't know, I think it's a marketing win. I mean, doing something different, NFL teams and Major League Baseball teams, they have alternate jerseys. And I don't know. I thought it was cool.
Yeah, it was awesome.
There started being some rumblings. I mean, every time you think it's over, it's not over. But there's some rumblings that I think Minio put out that Jax Forrest might not go now. He might not wrestle in the postseason. And I don't know. What do you make of all that?
Yeah, so to back up a little bit, Pat and I were both kind of tweeting at the same time, really just off the same thing, where we were both just happened to be talking about the 133-pound freshman, and I think he put out about Forrest, Seidel, Blaze, and Davino a tweet about that, and I quote tweeted and saying the best part about this is they're going to see each other this weekend. Forrest versus Seidel at Oklahoma State, Virginia Tech, and Blaze Davino, Penn State, Ohio State. And then, like, shortly after, he had tweeted out that it sounds like, and everything I've heard points to the same thing, that Jax is going to go to an open tournament this weekend so that he can get some more matches in. And he's not going to wrestle against Seidel this weekend. More so than not wrestling Seidel, it's more so about just getting matches in and then potentially coming back and wrestling the Iowa duel. And Pat had said that it sounds like Ronnie Ramirez already has his 5 dates. So Ronnie can't wrestle and Jax can't wrestle except for that open tournament. Either one goes in a duel and their red shirt's burned.
It's sort of a pain in the ass keeping track of the 5 dates, and are you at 4? Are you at 5? And, I mean, I can look at the wrestler's roster, his results, and give you a good idea of if it's 4 or 5.
But even then,
there's still some nuances in there as if did he redshirt? Did he not?
Well, give the example we were just talking
I
about
mean,
before the
not
show.
redshirt. Did he
Wrestle attached.
compete attached?
Well, that's what
So
we.
I straight up text Maple today. I said,
Well, so yeah.
I said, Mendoza at 5. Did he already use his 5? And so I was talking about that. I was like, I can't keep track. He's like, yeah, it's not easy.
So Seth Mendoza, it looked like Seth Mendoza, another incredible freshman, true freshman, it looked like he burned his red shirt because it was his 6th competition. And Willie and I are looking at WrestleStat, and it's like you go through it all. I'll pull up the 6 dates, but it was like you go through it, and it doesn't really say if it was attached or unattached because it was National Duels 1 date, Cougar Clash the 2nd, Soldier Salute 3, Cyclone Open 4, Oklahoma State Duel 5, West Virginia Duel 6. But one of those 3 tournaments there had to be competing unattached. So it's not easy keeping track of this stuff.
Yeah. What was so? But help me out here. What is the genesis of this rumor that Jack's not going to go in the postseason?
I don't know about that. I still believe he is. The only thing I can think of him not going to postseason, unless Pat has something different, is him going to the Open tournament and not wrestling this weekend, which would officially burn his red shirt. If Jax wrestles Seidel, his red shirt's officially burned. So in preserving his red shirt by going to the Open, it leaves the question of, is that because he's preserving the red shirt and he's not going to the postseason? Or is it because he just wants to get his match count up and get a better seed and this and that for the postseason? I still think he's going in the postseason. Look at the 3 options. Just asking you as a wrestling guy. Jax Forrest, Ronnie Ramirez, and Richie Figgs are their 3 133-pounders. At this point, do you think they're burning Ronnie Ramirez's red shirt and going the postseason after not wrestling all these matches that Jax wrestled?
No.
Okay. And Richie Figgs, who we've hardly seen this year, he's wrestled. He's 2-7 on the year. Do you think he's going in the postseason? No.
Richie would probably not qualify.
Richie has.
They ain't wrestling Richie. They ain't wrestling Richie.
Richie has not wrestled since the Southern Scuffle. I think he got pinned. He got pinned and the medical forfeited out, and we haven't seen him since. So I don't. What?
Did Minio say that Figgs is going to be the guy?
I think that's what his tweet says. Let me see.
Because I disagree with that. I don't think, because if you would, first of all, I think any talk. Now, this is my opinion. I'm not saying this will happen.
He said we're likely to see Richie Figgs toe the line next week against freshman sensation Aaron Seidel. He didn't say about the postseason.
I think that anything other than putting Jax Forrest in the Big 12 tournament is just nuts. I think it's insane. For various reasons. Number one, and I've been saying this every freaking week, is Jax ready to compete for a national title? Not win. You don't wrestle. You don't wrestle only when you're a clear-cut favorite. I mean, you can be waiting around forever. You wrestle when you're ready to compete for the title. And Jax is certainly ready to contend and be amongst the top contenders for the title at 133 pounds. And anything else is just ridiculous. David will not use Richie Figgs.
Listen to this for Forrest's year. But the match with Ortega was a 4-0 decision. Apart from that, pin in 47 seconds, 17-1 tech, 19-4 tech, a minute 30 pin, 16-1 tech, 19-4 tech, 16-0 tech. The kid is ready to compete in D1.
Yeah.
Like, why would you wrestle anybody else? Are you going to burn Ronnie Ramirez's red shirt?
Well, that's why I don't know. I don't know where all this talk is coming from. I mean, frankly, the idea to me, and I'm not saying this to Minio. I'm saying this to
I don't know if Pat said.
I'm saying this.
I don't know if Pat said that
to
Figs is
David
going.
Taylor. I'm saying this to David Taylor. If it is indeed their thought process, it is not the right move. It's not the right move. So, number one, Jax is ready. Number two, you can't start Richie Figs because Richie Figs is 2-7, and with the matches they have coming up, he might be like 2-9. Okay, if he would wrestle the rest of the duels, then he's going to go to the conference tournament not having an allocation. He's going to have to steal a bid, and you are telling me that you have the confidence that he's going to steal a bid? Why would you have confidence that you have to steal a bid? If David Taylor, there is no way David Taylor is rolling those dice and putting himself in a situation where he might not qualify 33 for nationals. Ain't freaking happening. Ain't happening. The other alternative is you use Ronnie Ramirez. And I don't like that because Ronnie Ramirez is the one who he's wrestled really well this year. And you have Jax Forrest, who is 100% ready to go, and Ronnie Ramirez, who 100% needs another year of development.
Yeah, it's as clear cut as you can get, in my opinion.
Number one. And number two, we don't know that Jax holds 33 for a long time. Ronnie will.
By the way,
to me, it's we're back on this topic, which I think is a dead horse.
Well, let me say this too because number one, Jax Forrest is not going to an open to duck Seidel. Jax Forrest is going to college halfway through his senior year of high school because he wants the next level of competition. I don't know, Willie, what the formula is for number of matches these kids need for postseason seeds, but Jax only has 7 matches. Oklahoma State has two dates, Iowa and who's the other one they got? Iowa and Virginia Tech. That's it. Seidel and Drake. Those are the only 2 matches left for Oklahoma State.
Does make sense. That's the part that does
correct.
Make sense. It's not a head scratcher why Jax would go get more matches as opposed to just wrestling in one dual beat. Because he only has 7 matches. Now there's all kinds of numbers that it's hard to keep track of. You need X amount of. You need 8 matches to get a coach's ranking. You need, I think, there's an 11 number in there. There's a 15 number in there to get an RPI. There's a certain number to get an allocation. So there's these benchmarks. And through all those benchmarks, Jax really needs more matches.
Yeah.
So going to an open tournament, and there are open tournaments, I looked it up. There's open tournaments this coming weekend and the following weekend. And if he were to go to them, he would get, obviously, more matches than one single match at a duel, which would help him lock in a seed and get his numbers all right. Now, he could do that at an open tournament either of the 2 weekends. He could skip both and go to open tournaments both weekends. But considering the conference tournament will give him a bunch of matches, he probably only needs to do one of the 2.
Yeah.
And so that's where this all maps.
Correct.
So the match thing, getting your match count up makes sense to me, and it's not surprising, and I'm not against it.
Mm-hmm.
What I am against is any notion that he is not the guy this year.
Yeah, and I don't think Pat said that Figs was going to the postseason. It makes sense that if Jax is going to an open tournament this weekend, that Figs would go wrestle Drake this weekend because it can't be.
I thought I saw a bunch of people then. I thought I saw a bunch of people say, "Oh, Jax isn't going now." I don't know.
I don't think. The genesis of Pat's tweet, I'm saying, is that if Jax goes to the Open, they're not burning Ronnie Ramirez's red shirt just to fill in for Jax. They would turn to Richie Figs. Against Seidel. Sorry, not Iowa. I think I said that backwards.
So, could we sort of push into it and assume that Jax not wrestling, if Jax goes to an open tournament, gets matches, and doesn't wrestle Seidel, but then comes back the next weekend and he doesn't wrestle in the open tournament and he does wrestle Ayala, can we assume that that is based on they think they need him to beat Iowa, but they might not need him to beat Virginia
No,
Tech?
I don't think so, because the Oklahoma State Virginia Tech duel, which we'll preview later this week, is sneaky good. It's really interesting. I think Oklahoma State's obviously the favorite, but there's some really good matchups, really good toss-ups. I think this is strictly about getting Jax enough matches. I think
This is a really good.
Why the hell else?
Sort of lame, but this coming weekend's nice.
Why the hell else would Jax Forrest middle of February go to a college open tournament? It's for one reason: to get matches, to get his RPI, and to get ready for the postseason. That's it. And
what I'm saying is, he could wrestle this duel and then skip the Iowa duel.
He wouldn't do that. I don't think he wants to skip the Seidel duel. I think if it was possible, if it was physically possible for Jax to wrestle the Open and still wrestle Seidel later that night, he would do it. So I don't think he's going to.
I know, but he is. He's skipping one of them
to wrestle an Open. He's not skipping. Now, don't get me wrong. Do I think he could wrestle Seidel?
My question is, why skip this duel and go get matches, as opposed to wrestling this duel, skipping the Iowa duel, and going to get matches?
It could be it could be that Iowa is a tougher duel to win than Virginia Tech. It could also just be that the travel logistics make sense more for this Open. But I agree with you. Like, if you got to miss the Virginia Tech one.
There is another thing to consider about not getting Jax his 6th date yet. I think there is a little bit of sense where you don't get him out of redshirt until the last possible moment. And here's why I say that. Because this isn't a first. This is a unique situation. It's not a first semester thing where he came to campus and he was there in August. And so at that point, you just go. This is a little different because he's still not officially out of redshirt. And I think there's sense in getting it last minute for this reason. We see crazy things happen all the time. If he would burn his shirt earlier and then at practice in the next 2 or 3 weeks roll an ankle and be hurt, he's busted.
Yeah.
Right? So prolong it until you rule out all the...
So maybe that's why he wrestled the Open this weekend instead of wrestling Seidel and then going to the Open.
Right. That's another reason why it makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm with you, William.
Hey, here's another little nugget.
Give me a nugget.
Some numbers came out out of Penn State. Now, I'm gonna warn you, not you, the audience, that it's really difficult to decipher what this all means. But some numbers came out for Penn State. They released some numbers, what they made, their revenue, their losses, and what it detailed per sport, and what the athletic department shared with their individual programs. So at Penn State, they distributed $18.4 million in rev share. Football got $13.3 million. Wrestling got 1.5, and there's a lot of interesting stuff in there. One being men's basketball, who's not good, got $3 million, and women's volleyball, who is ridiculously successful, got $10,000.
Isn't that crazy? That's the first thing I saw when I noticed that. Is I saw volleyball at the bottom for $10,000. I'm like, the women's volleyball team at Penn State is so much more successful than the men's tennis team. That alone, right there,
So
just those
like,
bottoms two, both getting 10,000 is crazy.
so that signaled to me a bunch of things, right? As wrestling people, we all want to be. We're all outraged when we don't get like our fair share, like. So you look at wrestling. It's like, oh, wrestling got 1.5, and they kill it every year. They win nationals every year in men's basketball. They can't win 10 games, and they got double. They got double what the wrestling team got. And then I scrolled down and it's like, women's volleyball got 10,000. I'm like, shit, I ain't saying shit about the wrestling team because that is offensive. But as I said, it's hard to decipher. They are definitely getting money in some other way. There is no way women's volleyball that's all they got. No way.
Yeah, that volleyball team's great.
And the number 1.5 could go in a million different directions. Does it include scholarships? Does it not include scholarships? It certainly does not include NIL stuff, right? So it is interesting, but to me, it's highly unclear.
Yeah, it's always fun when numbers come out, but when there's not context behind them, it's kind of lackluster at best. It's kind of like, okay, great, 1.5 million. What does that mean?
Right. Yeah, I just wanted to mention that because a lot of people are talking about it. It's interesting to have the numbers. And there was a time, I think we even said it on the show, like the rumor was that Cale did not want the rev share. He wanted additional scholarships.
Yeah.
Does this mean that wasn't true? Or does this mean that 1.4 that they got was part of that figure is scholarship? I don't know.
Yeah, Joel Haas, who tweeted that out. Can we get some context?
Yeah.
Do some reporting. Let's get some context. He might not know. I'm sure if he did, he'd share it out.
Right. All right, let's actually talk about on the mat stuff. Take it away on Ohio State, Iowa. Ohio State 24-9 in Columbus.
Awesome duel here. This lived up to the hype. It was one of those duels that right away. Now, they started at 57, if I'm remembering correctly, right? So It was one of those duels where it was very exciting because Ohio State was a big favorite, but Voinovich comes out and gets a 5-1 win over Maddox Shaw. And then Caliendo comes out and gets an 8-2 decision. And then Kennedy gets a decision against Karchla 2-1. So right away, you have this powerhouse program that Ohio State has, but starting in 157, Iowa jumps up to a 9-0 lead, and you're like, can Iowa make this a thing? Like, you have Davino Drake, you have Fishback Arnold, you have these matchups, but obviously Ohio State's lightweights are so damn good. But jumping out to that 9-0 lead for Iowa, you're like, is this a thing?
You have a 9-0 lead, and you have winnable matches in 2 of the next 3.
Yeah.
I mean, you're damn near almost at 5. You're at 5 if you get those. And one thing, like, to me that I noticed watching the body language of these guys, it goes without saying, but Ohio State really, really, really wanted to win this duel. The coaching staff was as fired up as ever. They were dialed in as much as ever. And you might be saying, Willie, well, no crap. What are you getting at? Here's what I'm getting at. If Brandon Cannon could have wrestled, he would have wrestled.
100%.
You know what I mean?
There's definitely ducking. There's no doubt there's ducking. But there's also just guys who are injured and physically can't go. Like, we're so quick to convolute things. Like,
I'm not. I think we all know that Brandon Cannon's really hurt, and I'm not saying that to say, hey guys, Brandon Cannon's really not ducking. I'm not saying it to say that. I'm saying it to say he might not be back for PJ either. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I don't think we're going to see him until the Big Tens. And by the way, like, as a Penn State guy, I'll be the first to say, Cannon is not going to duck Duke to protect his seed. That Ohio State-Penn State is going to be a legit duel. Ohio State can threaten Penn State. I think Penn State wins. We'll preview it probably Thursday. But Cannon not going is not to protect the seed. It's not to protect his undefeated status. Ohio State needs Brandon Cannon in that lineup, and they need to beat Penn State. They want to beat Penn State. So Cannon not going against Duke is not ducking. Cannon going against Duke is because he actually can. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah, agree 100%. I hope that he's getting closer. I hope that Brandon Cannon is back for the Penn State duel. I really want to see him. And I hope he's 100%. I really want to see that matchup. I really think it makes it a better duel. But wherever Brandon Cannon is, he's probably, really dinged up, and we hope he gets better and gets better soon. But Kennedy wins a 2-1 match that was determined by a second injury timeout for Karchla. So Kennedy gets choice. He gets an escape. Correct? I have this right?
I believe so, yeah. It's how I thought the match was going to go. I mean, I told you, Kennedy's was 2-0, now he's 3-0, and I thought it was going to be a low-scoring, close match, and it's kind of how I saw it going.
Yeah. So Iowa gets that, their third win in a row. It's 9-0. We go to 184. Gabe Arnold, Fishback, long match with no scoring. OT, Fishback gets in a little kind of throw-by situation. Gabe has on all fours, Fishback behind the arms. They call 3, or they don't call 3, right?
They called Gabe, 3 for – they kind of rolled through, and Gabe got behind him, and they called 3 for the takedown. Ryan challenges, and they say, actually, it was a takedown for Fishback before Arnold got behind him.
100% the correct call. This reaction time, I think it's
Chris Knight said Kennedy was 1-2 previously against Karchla, so I stand corrected.
In the duel, in the rule book, it says that reaction time is at the referee's discretion. And I just think it's gotten way out of hand. The referee's discretion has gotten more liberal over time. Well, give him a chance to do something. We'll give him a chance to do something. That doesn't mean, no, you don't. The guy cannot be in takedown criteria, and then you wait for the opponent's next move to see if it's completed. No.
Do you think when I saw that call, I was wondering, because I texted it to you. I'm not a big rules guy. I texted to you and you said, correct call. I would have scored that 3 for Fishback, 2 reversal for Arnold. And what I was wondering is, I didn't realize,
because I was just getting out of the Wyoming Seminary duel, and I didn't even know it was overtime. So you sent me the clip. I didn't realize it was over.
So that's my question. Do you think it's scored differently if it's during the match? Might be a crazy question because it shouldn't matter. But do you think it's scored differently if it's in the middle of the match?
No, I think it's I would score that 3. I would score that Fishback takedown, absolutely. Gabe reacts and then does something, right? That's not reaction time. Reaction time is not resetting and then trying a move. Reaction time is reaction time. What's your first reaction? Okay, it wasn't. Reaction time is only in there to avoid flash takedowns. That's what it's in there for. It's not so that the opponent can try one YOLO move. No, that's not what it is. So, it's in there for. Now, this is sort of a bad example, but remember when Nasir Bailey grabs Brock Hardy's ankle?
Yep.
Just take that situation. I'm not even saying that specific match, that instance. But if I have one ankle and I touch the other ankle and then the guy moves his foot and he doesn't have the ankle anymore, that's reaction time. All right? He didn't really have the ankle. He had it for a split second. That would be a flash takedown. That's what reaction time is there to do. Reaction time is not let the opponent do something else to see if he can get out of it. No, it's a clear takedown. 10 out of 10 times.
It will be interesting to see if Gabe or Angelo goes this weekend. Iowa's been kind of mum's the word with Angelo's injury, but Friday night, Brock Mantanona in the Michigan duel, and then next week would be Zach Ryder in the Oklahoma State duel. They also duel Purdue on Sunday. So it'll be interesting these last three matches if we see Angelo back or if we see Gabe for these next three.
Yeah, he's another one. I hope he gets healthy. I know my gut feeling about Angelo is, and I'll be the first to admit
admit it.
Same thing with Cannon. I have no idea the extent of their injuries. No idea. So because there's no openness about it, and I understand why they're not open. They don't want to scream to the world, yeah, our guy's really, really hurt. And they also don't want to say, yeah, our guy really isn't that hurt, but he doesn't want to risk it. I mean, I get why they don't do it. But under the situation, under the circumstances, that leaves guys like us to just speculate, right? And so I don't know the extent of Angelo's injury, but I think he's probably the type that's like, I'm not going to come back until it's 100%. That's just my gut feeling. And I hope he does get back to 100%
Timeout.
And gets back quickly.
Jay Hill is in the chat saying, damn it, I'm finna have to shut this off shortly. I'm the mayor of my town, and we have a board meeting tonight. Love listening live. Is Jay Hill a mayor?
Jay, who's the mayor? Jason Hill's what's the mayor.
That's an awesome comment. I agree. These next couple of matches, too, are big. And by the way, did you see that Iowa forfeited at 197? In the Michigan State duel, they did not wrestle a 97-pounder.
I didn't even realize that. I thought they shut him out.
No,
I didn't realize that.
They won 40-6. They forfeited at 97.
I watched most of that duel too, and then I turned it off and switched over to. Was that the same day as Nebraska? I think I was watching.
No, that was
Iowa,
last
Michigan
night,
State.
I think. Or maybe it was the same time Nebraska. Was that Sunday afternoon?
Yeah, I was watching Iowa, Michigan State, and Penn, Cornell. And then that was at 1, and at 2, Nebraska.
It always amazes me. Nebraska shut Northwestern out yesterday, and Nebraska had 2 forfeit wins over Northwestern. Northwestern forfeited at 2 weights. It is always crazy to me when the Big Ten forfeits a weight.
Yeah, I got a little intel on that. First of all, let me start with saying that I think, and I've always thought, and I've said this in the past, but it bears repeating because Northwestern's down this year. I think Matt Storniolo does a hell of a job, all things considered. I think he does a great job. I think he gets stray bullets a lot. But there are times when that dude coaches them up, and they've had a lot of injuries. They have a lot of guys transferring out. They had a lot of guys commit and then not come there. They have roster limits, but they have at times, man, they have really maximized. I think they've performed over their skis a little bit to what expectations are a lot of times. And, I was talking to Snyder after the duel, and he said, man, I felt bad for Storniolo. And I said, why? And he said, he's like, we're in. Those guys are warming up and in the room, and I won't say who, but one of their starters, their knee locked up. I mean, they got a problem on the spot, and so they had to forfeit that. So that stinks.
No, it does stink. I'm more so just in a world where there's so many guys on the team that backups and this and that. When there's a forfeit and there's not a backup, obviously there's situations like Iowa forfeited. I don't know what was going on with Brody Sampson, but like I understand this point in the season, like you don't want to burn Harvey Ludington's red shirt, and Dean's obviously off the team. So like I get it when there's one-offs. It's just when there's 2 forfeits in the Big Ten, it definitely always catches my eye.
Yeah. All right. Let's stick with this. Development in the Ohio State Iowa duel. Fishback beats Arnold. It gets Ohio State on the board 9-3. You go to 197. Obviously, Iowa hurting there a little bit. Luke Geog gets the major. Keeter can get Iowa back on the track in a big way. And
Willie, for me, as soon as Feldman beat Keeter, were you kind of thinking, okay, it's over, Ohio State gets the win?
Yeah.
Like as soon as that happened, I'm like, this is Ohio State's duel.
Yeah, it was sort of not the most entertaining match, but I will say when Feldman went, he went hard. I mean, what he put together there was really nice. I mean, you stand around, sort of watch paint dry for a while, but when Feldman went, he went, and Feldman has these moments, like the sort of chain wrestling stuff, not just one shot and done. He did it against Ferrari. He did it against Keeter here. It was a really nice finish.
Good
really
win
nice,
for him.
Really nice sequence for Feldman there. So now Iowa wins the first 3. Ohio State wins the next 3. We make the turn. Nick Bouzakis, Dean Peterson. Bouzakis was in control most of the match. I think he opened with a 7-pointer, didn't he?
I think so, yeah, because didn't he almost pin Peterson? I think he had Peterson on his back.
He kind of let off the brakes a little bit and then got up a little gimpy at the end. But it was a Bouzakis 9-5 win. Going to 133. Davino beats Ayala 4-2. I thought it was a pretty decent match by both guys. I think Drake just really couldn't get to a leg at the end. He had some opportunities, I guess, but it wasn't. It was a good win for Davino. I don't think it was a bad loss. I don't think Drake looked bad, but it wasn't the most exciting match either. Davino wins. Mendez, Tex, Peterson. Styles' block was sort of ho-hum too. Styles gets a takedown in overtime. It's funny to me, like, it reminds me kind of, this match reminded me kind of Rocky Elam against Merrill, where, like, Styles wasn't close to a takedown, overtime, boom, I'm just going to go get it.
Right?
Like, and the Rocky Merrill match, it was like Rocky kind of wasn't really trying. He wasn't close to a takedown, and then they went to overtime, and Rocky's like, I'm going to end this now. And he just it was like Rocky, it looks like you could have done that at any point.
Right. Yeah, it's crazy when that happens in overtime like that. It was like that with there was a heavyweight match that was like that. I can't remember who. Maybe it was a Bastida match. I can't remember who it was, but there was a heavyweight match that was the same thing. It was a very slow match, then all of a sudden it just... Oh, it was... no, you know what I'm thinking of? Feldman getting the takedown against Ferrari in overtime. He just got super aggressive, went for it, got it. But yeah.
Yeah. So Ohio State, the Buckeyes continue their great season. For my money, Tom Ryan's the coach of the year. And Iowa wins the first 3, but then loses. Ohio State sweeps the next 7.
Yeah, a little tidbit off that, because we had a talk, and I couldn't find the exact episode, but we talked last year about the abnormally high number of undefeated guys in mid-January. And so yesterday it got me thinking. I was running numbers. It's February 8th when I was running the numbers yesterday, February 9th now. 28 guys undefeated. What is crazy is the top two in every weight but 184 are undefeated. Only
That's
184 has number one undefeated. The other 9 weights have the top 2 guys undefeated. And only 2 of those are within the same conference. 25 and 33, I believe, are the same conference. The rest of them are out of conference. So if they can win, through conference championships, we could see a boatload. I think last year it was 9 guys went into NCAA's undefeated. But 28 guys undefeated, and we're not going to get Forrest Seidel this weekend. Those are 2 of them. But we will get Blaze Divino. So one right there is guaranteed to... but I don't think there's many more.
133 has 4 freshmen that are undefeated.
It's crazy.
That's interesting.
Is that nuts?
Most of them are not the same conference, too. I mean, I don't. That's like historic numbers.
I know.
And it also doesn't. It also doesn't seem like it's been a year where people are avoiding each other or people aren't wrestling.
No,
they've been wrestling. They just haven't hit.
Exactly. I was just going to say, it's one of those things where, so for example, you have Lilidal and Buzak is undefeated 25. They'll hit Friday. Bird Divino, actually Blaze isn't undefeated, is he?
Yeah.
He is. Why didn't I say? Oh, that was 1-2 guys. Okay, 1-2 Bird Divino. They could hit at Big Tens. But then you have Mendez Vega, not till NCAAs if it happens. Van Ness, Jackson Joy, Brandon Cannon, Meyer Shapiro, Mitchell Messenbring, D. Lockett, Levi Haynes, Simon Ruiz, Josh Barr, Rocky Elam, Younger Bastida, Trumbull. Like, you have guys that are out of conference that those guys, like Penn State, Iowa State is rarely going to hit. You have guys that...
Who did Feldman lose to?
Feldman lost to... I'm drawing a blank. He has a couple losses. He lost to Trumbull, Bastida, and Gadali.
Oh, he lost to Tay, yeah. Younger, and Trumbull. Yeah. What did you say was 25? The undefeated is at 25?
1 and 2 is Lilidal Buzakis, which should hit Friday.
Sheldon Seymour's still undefeated as well.
Yeah, those are just the number 1 and 2 guys. So Cornell Kevin has a list. He's been keeping track. Go follow him. But the undefeated guys in totality, Buzakis, Lilidal, Seymour at 25, Blaze Divino, Bird, Forrest, Seidel at 33, Mendez, Vega, Stanich, Oliveri at 41, Van Ness, Joy, Cassidy, Tyus at 49, Brandon Cannon, Shapiro at 57, Messenbring, Blaze, and Lockett at 65, Haynes and Ruiz at 74, Rocco at 84, Barr and Elam 97, Trumbull, Bastida, heavyweight.
133 has 9 guys that are either undefeated or have 1 loss.
It's crazy.
9. Lucas Bird, Ben DeVito, Marcus Blaze, Evan Frost, Kyler Larkin, and Larkin's one might have been a default. Aaron Seidel, Dom Serrano has 1 loss. TK Davis has 1 loss. Jax Forrest undefeated. That's crazy. All right, let's run down the rest of college action, and then if you want to talk a little Zagreb at the end. Friday, Penn State 38-3 over Michigan. The big ones here were Desmond beating Ragusan, and I think I commented the week before that Ragusan has started looking a little better. It took him a long time to.
That was an awesome match.
Right.
Awesome match.
And so if you look at Ragusan's results this year, it doesn't look like the Desmond win is that big a deal, but he has been wrestling better. And so I think it's a really good Win for Desmond, who was up 2 weights from when he started the season. Van Ness Major Lachlan 9-1. PJ Duke Catrabone, he was in a little danger there. He wins 12-10. Catrabone had a takedown or two.
Let's talk about Penn State for a half hour, because sometimes the haters will sit here and say that all we do is talk about Penn State when we talk about Penn State so little. So let's really dive into Penn State. This Duke Catrabone match, which, first of all, 2 New York State legends. I think they were the number 1 recruit out of New York 2 years in a row. It was a 2-1 match when they met in high school. And what really impressed me about this match had it all. It had back and forth, who's taking the lead. And what really impressed me was Duke not only gave up the first takedown of his college career, he gave up 2. And he bounced back. Sometimes when you have this expectation on you, and you have this, he hasn't given up a takedown, and then you give one up, you get in your own head. I thought Duke did an awesome job of rebounding from that, not once but twice, maintaining composure, giving up 2 takedowns, and still ice in the veins, clutch at the end, gets the win. I can't remember how much time was left, but I think it was down 10-9, and then got that last takedown to ice at 12-10. So I
agree 100%. When you have that aura about you that, you're that good, and then you're on the road and somebody's taking it, somebody's pushing you. Do you get rattled? Do you get back up and figure a way out? And I think it was a good win for PJ, despite him not being totally as sharp as possible, and also, the rankings discrepancy going in. Everybody says PJ by a million. Next topic, but that's college wrestling. That people got you on the ropes. Same with Levi a couple years ago. Remember, Levi's on the road at Michigan State against Chase Saldate, who never AA'd, and it's a tight match. Now Levi didn't give up. I mean, he might have. Anyway, Levi got the job done and won. It's every week, especially in the Big Ten. Mesenbrink Tech, Haynes Tech, Welsh 8-1 over Mantanona. Barr beats Tex Waters. Tay over Marisola 4-1. Elsewhere, Ryder beat Lockhaven 26-12. Eli Griffin majored Wyatt Henson. NC State beat Pitt. Luca Augustine over Matty Singleton 7-2 in OT. Trumbull over Pitzer. Stout over Brophy. Missouri over West Virginia 26-13. Nothing crazy there. Steed pinned Conley. That's sort of big. Oklahoma State beat Little Rock 41-6.
A couple more to go, and then there's a big one in there.
Lockett beat Bianchi 7-2. Bianchi was undefeated till that point.
Good win for Lockett.
No, Stephen Little. Northern Illinois over Buffalo. Rutgers beat Minnesota. This was
Rutgers
huge.
Beat Minnesota the week after. So Minnesota upsets Iowa. It's like 17-6 or something like that, rankings wise. Minnesota's biggest win, their first win over Iowa in 14 years or something like that. Can't remember exactly, but huge win for Minnesota. And then here comes Rutgers. And it's like, Minio's a big Rutgers fan, so he's always amplifying that. And so I wasn't watching this duel, but I saw Pat tweeting out Andy Clark beats Drew Roberts, Tony White beats Charlie Millard. Then I'm like, what's happening here? I think Jory Volk got beat too. Aiden Smith beat him 7-2. So that was
I'm in a group chat with several Jersey guys, and they pull for Rutgers. Jagger is one of them. A couple Jersey guys, a guy from that does WrestleStat, he's from Jersey. And so I'm checking it, and they're like, yeah, oh my God, Rutgers. And I'm kind of rolling my eyes. I'm like, stop getting your hopes up. It ain't going to happen. And then it happened. Then they were right.
I know.
Aiden Smith beating Volk 7-2. Major upset. Aiden Smith from right here, District 11 boy. Shawver beats Malvari. Von Bauer beats Gibson. No Olivieri, which stinks. I mean, how about that?
I know.
Rutgers beats Minnesota, and their highest ranked guy wasn't in the lineup. Andy Clark beats Drew Roberts. Then the big one, Anthony White gets Charlie Millard late. Andrew Sparks beats Barbosa, a freshman I really like, 2-0. And then Lenny Pinto says, hey, I'm still alive. He majors Ethan Riddle.
I'm still alive.
Remy Cotton.
And Remy Cotton blew the damn roof off that place. He got the pin in OT, which sealed the team victory. That place, like, go look at Rutgers' Twitter. Goodell, I think, maybe ran 90 feet. Like, he sprinted. Like, that. He literally, Remy Cotton blew the roof off that damn place. I think Nick Costco was on the call who crushed it. They were like, they were so loud and excited. I listened to the call. They were so loud and excited, they were like blowing the mics, but nobody cared. It was such an exciting, like, that was the.
Great. It's great for Rutgers. It's great for Rutgers. It just goes to show. I said it a couple weeks ago, and I said it in November after national duels. College wrestling's crazy. Division I's crazy. Some weeks you're up, some weeks you're not. You get a big win over Iowa, then turn around and lose to Rutgers, and we've seen stuff like that before. We've seen Nebraska win Cliff Keen, and everybody like, wow, Nebraska, and then they turn around and they lose one. They look not great to Northern Iowa or something like that, right? They Nebraska not look good against Iowa, and then 2 weeks later, damn near beat Ohio State. So this stuff happens, and it's really exciting.
Yeah, awesome win for Rutgers.
What I'm saying is, don't get too high or too low. Like, don't, the world. If you're Minnesota, the world's not coming to an end. You're fine.
Yeah, and I don't know if they have it here. So that was their first win over Minnesota for Rutgers in program history, which is banana. It was their 7th top 10 win under Goodell, and their biggest win since the 2015-2016 season. Look at that little Rutgers glaze. For all the people who say we only glaze Penn State, how about that? Some Rutgers glaze. Krispy Kreme that.
Well done. Well done. Arizona State over Oregon State. Justin Rademacher lost to Colton Hawks.
Saw that.
Colton Hawks has been not good this year. Not good. Let me tell you, when I was going through, what the hell was I doing? Oh, I was doing Big 12 seeds. And, I'm doing 197, and I'm looking at all the starters from the Big 12, and I'm like, Colton Hawks, is this bad? Listen, Colton Hawks, before he
Poor Colton Hawks. I thought we were glazing people. What are you doing?
Well, this is half. This is 6-7. This is half criticism, half glaze. Colton Hawks is still 3-6 on the year.
I know.
He lost to somebody named C.J. Carter. He lost to Rune Lawrence. He lost to Evan Bates. He had a win over somebody named Tyler Perry from Northern Colorado. He lost to 3-7. He was one of 3-7 John Gunderson's wins. He beat a guy named Carson Crace from Cornell. He lost to Jack Waymeyer. And then he beat Justin Rademacher. How does that happen?
I don't want to take nothing away from Colton Hawks, but this is to me where it's like, you got to 100% give Rademacher a mulligan. I think, like, I don't know if he had the flu. It's one of those wonky matches that just doesn't make sense. I mean, listen, it happens. Like, I don't want to say.
Once upon a time, Colton Hawks was really solid. Like, if you would have told me, if this was 3 years ago and Colton Hawks beat a really good guy, I'd be like, yeah, cool, good win for him. With the year that Colton Hawks is having, I'm like, how the hell?
I know.
So, I don't know. Okay, North Dakota State beat Utah Valley. Ohio State, we did. Tech over Virginia. Tech over Virginia 32-7, but Winton Dinkins beat Colin Guy 3-2. That's a interesting match. Winton Dinkins, I really like Winton Dinkins. You know, he's a Campbell transfer. Last year when they underwent the coaching change, he reached out to me and said, "Hey, help me find a place." And so he's a very great young man and a very good wrestler. Perrysburg kid from Ohio, strong program from Ohio. Brothers all wrestled. I am by no means saying Winton Dinkins, this is a bad loss, but it is. Colin Guy was on a roll before this, right?
Yeah.
So that's a notable results. Then we get into Saturday. Indiana beat Wisconsin. A lot of people banging on Wisconsin for this. But, you know, again, back to the every week thing, Wisconsin this year a couple times looked like, all right, they're figuring some stuff out. They're competing better than we thought. They're a little bit better than our expectations. And then this one, not so much. Moran beats Nicola Rivera. Jackson Blum beats Zan. Joey Butler beats Zargo, who was on a roll. And that's a real head scratcher for seeds because believe it or not, in the Big Ten 149, it jumps off the page at you because you have Shane Van Ness. And then until this result, you had Carter Young. I had a coach look at my seeds and say, Carter Young the 2? And I'm like, I know. I can't do nothing about it. Look at it. He beat Zargo. Zargo beat this guy. Zargo beat that guy. And now Zargo loses to a guy that's, I don't think I had him in the top 9 seeds. So it's a big monkey wrench for Big Ten seeding. But anyway, Indiana 30-9 over Wisconsin. Although Ingham had another good win, he beat Gabe Sollers in overtime. Bucknell over Drexel, West Point over Hofstra, West Point over Long Island. Cornell 31-5 over Princeton. Mark Anthony McGowan beat Greg D. Another. If you're a big-time wrestling geek, here's a little lineup change thing. Cornell's 184, Christian Hansen blew his knee out in that Arizona State duel. I think it was Arizona State. No, it was Columbia duel. And now Lou Sergio has moved up to 184. Benny Rogers has moved into the 165-pound spot. So some personnel there change at Cornell. Minnesota beat Maryland 37-6. Branson John beat Gavin Nelson. That's big for seeding purposes. Iowa over Michigan State 40-6. The only loss was a forfeit at 197 for the Hawks. Cornell beat Penn 19-13. Cornella beat Composto 7-4. Jackson Joy beat Cross Wieslewski 5-1. But if you watch that match, I mean, man, Jackson Joy was in on a near score for 7 minutes, and just they ran out of bounds, or it was stalemated, or it was a bad call. And I was like, this is the most lopsided 5-1 match I've ever seen. Illinois over Purdue 28-6. Navy beat Bucknell. Tackett beat Danny Wask, though, in overtime. Nebraska blanked Northwestern. Northern Iowa beat South Dakota State 19-13. Oklahoma over Arizona State. Wyoming over North Dakota State. And that was the weekend in wrestling.
Let's talk a little bit more real quick. I'll give a couple golden nuggets. I'll just kind of do a high-level bird's-eye view of what happened at we talked on Thursday, day 1 of the ranking series. Day 2, Dean Hamidi gets silver. Evan Wick gets bronze at 79. Trent Hidley injury forfeited, defaulted after the semis, I believe. He was set to face Iran in the finals. Plott beats Mock at 92 for bronze. Wyatt Hendrickson gets pinned in the finals to Bahrain. The big one, Willie. Stephen Buchanan at 97 kilos techs Yazdani Sharadi, and it's just like the theme of this show is like, don't get too high, don't get too low. This is Yazdani's first competition up at 97. This is his first competition up at 97. That said, for anybody to tech Yazdani, Stephen Buchanan, we were talking to Austin DeSanto and how his stock is up, and can DeSanto compete with the upper echelon of guys at 61? Stephen Buchanan, now he's got a guy, maybe you've heard of him before, Kyle Snyder, who's been on the world team, every year since 2015? Like, an all-time GOAT. But Stephen Buchanan is proving that it's at least going to be a thing. It's going to be more entertaining than it's been.
Sure.
When you're teching Yazdani, like 13-3, and Yazdani was definitely like, you could tell Yazdani was giving up in certain spots. Like, I don't know if it was gassing or like.
I think the key takeaway there is Buchanan looked younger and fresher, and Yazdani would go one motion, two motion, and then he'd have to give up. Where Buchanan was like, boom, bang, boom. He looked fresher, better, more chain wrestling, more working through positions, more nonstop. And that's what I think the key was there. But you're right. 97 in America, no, not knocking anybody. But it's been the Kyle Snyder show, and who can really challenge him. And I don't know if Stephen Buchanan's the answer to that question, but certainly something to watch.
I'll say this, with Buchanan doing what he's doing and teching Yazdani, 97 kilos is that much more interesting. There's a long way to go before somebody's going to domestically, probably realistically, be a sincere threat to Snyder, but Buchanan is taking a step in that direction. And I will say, because
he has two things on his side. He's fresh out of college, and he's never wrestled freestyle before, so he's only going to improve.
Yeah, and I will say, because we kind of touched on it on Thursday, and then I was talking to the captain because, he had said, I don't know if it was on the show with you or when you were out, he had said that when we were talking, it was with you, when we were talking about brands, and he'd said that one of the key things for Iowa is you have to keep Buchanan a part of that program. And now look at how that's played out. Iowa put DeSanto, Spencer, and Buchanan win 3 gold medals at the ranking series. Buchanan techs Yazdani. Like, it was, and the Iowa fans, and some of them are just trolls trying to piss people off, but they had a great week with Spencer, Austin, and Buchanan winning gold in the ranking series, as they should. Like, they've struggled on the freestyle scene as of late, and this is a great step forward for them.
It is, and, at RAF, Buchanan was asked something in the press conference, and he said something that's very sort of illuminating and a real shot in the arm for Tom Brandt, because he said when he came to Iowa from Oklahoma, his thought process or his runway was, yeah, I'm going to finish up my college career. I'm going to try to win a national title, and then I'm going to go about my business and get a job. And Tom Brandt made me fall in love with wrestling again. Mm-hmm. And, you know, Tom takes a lot of shit, but that's a good story that deserves to be told.
It is. And this is, I always laugh because sometimes you're very, I'm the brain and no one can touch me. Other times you have these takes that are true and you kind of let them die and play out. And it's like, when people are talking like, okay, Brandt has got to go, great. Who's going to replace him? Who's going to replace Brandt? And I'm not saying you should or shouldn't. I'm just saying, like, it is great when you do see freestyle success like this, and the people who back Brandt, like it's a great moment for them.
Yeah. I'm just saying, I'm not even getting into that argument. People are tough on Tom, especially now. I'm no exception. I've been hard on Tom on some occasions.
We all have. Yeah, that's what we do. Critique people.
Also, give credit where credit's due, and that's a great
100%.
Story.
Yeah, 100%. So a nice little highlight there for Iowa at the ranking series, and that's pretty much the weekend.
You know, hey, did you notice? I just got to bring it up.
Bring it up. Go ahead.
It's not the biggest deal in the world, but Hamidi's trailing 4-2. He gives up 2 takedowns. And he gets 1-1. Short time left. Hamidi gets a takedown. Clock expires. He loses 4-4 criteria. That's a win under RAF rules.
I have a beef. I have a bone to pick with you. I have a beef with you, Willie.
Go ahead.
And I'm gonna do it in front of the people. I cannot believe, I've already done this offline, so I'll do it online. I cannot believe RAF is having a card, and the best card yet, in my backyard, and you did not tell me because your Florida geography sucks.
I didn't know. I didn't know that. Well, we had the card in Miami, and I was like, yes, Bash will be able to come. And you're like, dude, that's like 3.5 hours away from me. And so I was like, yeah, I guess you're right. Florida's kind of big state. I didn't realize it would be so far away. And then,
which, by the way, I just moved in that weekend, so it wasn't like a 3.5 hour drive isn't the biggest deal. We had just moved in that weekend. That was also part of it.
It was supposed to be RAF. The Tampa card was supposed to be where we were looking. It was close to a done deal with Rutgers, and then something came up. So that got switched like kind of late, and then then they announced it. But yeah, Tampa should be a banger, and sign me up for going south in the middle of the winter.
Yeah, might have to have a sleepover. Maybe Uncle Willie comes to the house, swims in the pool, get some great content. I'm honestly not only I will be at that card, but I mean that card. This is like, and we still owe the people a whole RAF card. But do you want to run through real quick, even just a couple of matches that have been announced for RAF 7 in Tampa? Because these are the matches that people have wanted. Like everybody who has said, like the purist, like RAF 7 is, it's coming to fruition.
Yeah, we're gonna get there. So I have my document open on the matchups, but I don't know. Are we talking about Tampa? I don't know what was announced and what wasn't announced.
All right, so I'll tell you what was announced. Yeah. Dake versus Kekaizen. Very interesting match. Dake is Dake, and Kekaizen just won the ranking series. He's looked awesome. Okay. Dake versus Kekaizen for the Cruiserweight Championship.
Ben has this. So in our document, Ben Askren has it color-coded, which Izzy often makes fun of. I love it. it's a running joke. Like Ben does it. I love the color coding. Izzy laughs at it. But he did not update the color coding, and so I don't know which ones were announced. So Kekais and Dake was announced. What else was announced?
Bo Bassett, Vladimir Kinchavili announced.
I knew that one. That one's, dude. I love Kinche. Now it's always interesting to see where Kinche's at. I just think it's one of those classic, like Bo Bassett's young and he's like a dog on a bone. Will he wither an older Kinche down, or is Kinche just too technically advanced for Bo at this time? To me, it's a classic young versus old guy. I've always loved Vlad's style. Him, Haji Aliyev. I just love those guys. They've been my favorites for so long.
Yeah. So then you have Kennedy Blades versus a Russian MMA Dudiev, Milana Dudiev. I think I'm saying that right, but
No.
MMA fighter, UFC fighter. And then you have Taz versus Snyder, which might be the best match on an RAF card yet.
Yeah, that's money, isn't it? That is money. And there are several more really nice matches that are going to be announced.
Can we get some Penn State kids on that card? I might have to have a talk with you and Izzy. We need some Penn State kids down in Tampa.
I don't know if that's going to happen. I mean, we'll see.
We'll have some talks. We'll have some off-air talks.
There's going to be a lot of title bouts on this card.
Logan in the chat, I can feel the name butchering coming. Keep saying names. If I haven't butchered your name yet, with the number of names I've said this show,
you see, at one point in this show, I cracked up because we're doing this for about 10, 15 minutes into the show, and a couple people commented like, "Man, the video quality on this is amazing. This is the best. This is never seen this." Amazing video quality. And somebody said, great, now Bash can butcher names in 4K.
You saw that. By the way, we didn't do anything with the cameras, so I don't know why the quality is so great, but maybe YouTube and maybe I have no idea why. Maybe it's at night. I have no idea. No idea, but great if the quality's good.
Yeah, I don't know. You know what's weird is that when we always when we hop on, when we first hop on the back end, it looks great. It looks like this. And then we go live, and it always gets not pixelated, but the quality is not the same. This time we did it, and I don't know. It looks great.
Yeah, it looks great. All right, that's the card. Any
giant weekend coming up.
Monster weekend. Look for a huge preview on Thursday.
Thursday, you want to do it? Big, lots to preview. Let's just give you a taste, because I know it's been busy, and you digest the weekend that was, and then you have to think about. I don't even know. It's a Monday fog after the Super Bowl. I don't know if you've gotten to what's coming up next, but
I haven't. It's delightful.
Here we go. Coming weekend, Ohio State, Penn State, Illinois, Nebraska. That's Antrell and Cannon Webster. Great one there. There'd be a lot of good individual matchups. Michigan, Iowa. Could that be interesting? I don't know. I haven't even run through the lineups yet, but maybe that could be an interesting duel. It's certainly an interesting duel. But is there any chance for Michigan? West Virginia, Iowa State, Penn, Lehigh, a good one. Pitt, Stanford. Virginia Tech has both Carolina and Okie State.
Oklahoma State, Virginia Tech is such a sneaky good duel. Especially with Jax out.
West Virginia, Northern Iowa. Penn, Princeton, Harvard, Columbia. Okie State v. Tech, Northern Iowa, Iowa State.
Awesome weekend.
Michigan, Wisconsin. What else we got? Yeah, that's about it.
Wyatt Hendrickson
Good.
versus Trent Hilger just announced for RAF7 as well.
Yep. Yep.
That was a fun one at Final X.
It was. Hilger. Wait.
Wyatt 10-0'd him.
Hilger.
Wyatt 10-0'd him, and then that second match was 20-14.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, that was fun. Yeah, that Tampa card's gonna be real nice.
I'm looking forward to that one.
All right, Thursday, big show. Love you. Go Bills.
Thursday, and again, go wish Willie a happy birthday. A lot of happy birthday Willies in the chat. You guys are the best. Subscribe, like, comment. We'll be back with a preview Thursday. Go Bills. The off season's here. The next season's here. Go Bills.